Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Professor Dungeon Master's recent video saying that D&D is DOA, dead on arrival. Uh, uh, and we're going to do now. A lot of times on my channel I'll do signal boosting. This is noise reduction, right? Like this is utter noise coming out of his channel, and we need to clarify this because this is just. I want to say this is a lie, but the reality is I met Professor Dungeon Master in person. He's a very nice man. He's very smart, right? This is not somebody who's stupid. This is not somebody who's hateful. This is a man who is emotionally invested in Dungeons and Dragons failure, right? And who has a lot of friends who are massively motivated, massively literally invested in Dungeons and Dragons failure. Like for instance, I can tell you right now, Professor Dungeon Master knows the guy from Roll for Combat. Roll for Combat's entire channel just blows away. If D&D, actually, that's a good question. The more evidence that Dungeons and Dragons is doing well, the harder it is for Glicker over on Roll for Combat to sell his D&D hate, right? And also, Professor Dungeon Master literally has a tabletop role-playing game that literally competes with Dungeons and Dragons, and he has innumerable friends who have the same. He is incredibly emotionally invested in D&D's failure, and everyone he knows and everyone he cares about in the TTRPG space is the same. So he is massively, he has a very distinct bias, right? And he's surrounding himself with people who desperately want Dungeons and Dragons to fail, and they want to paint this picture that Dungeons and Dragons is failing. And the reason why I want to talk about it today is I don't think Professor Dungeon Master is trying to make a dangerous space, but the people I definitely think Roll for Combat, that guy's dangerous. Like his entire channel is dedicated to the destruction, in my humble opinion, of Dungeons and Dragons. That's a dangerous space. So I don't think Professor Dungeon Master is a dangerous guy, but I think he's aligned with some dangerous people, and I'm hoping he sees this, and I'm hoping he can realize this is not helpful, right? This is not helpful. All right, so let's talk about his video. So he comes on and he says D&D is DOA, and the entire point, he's got two main points. One, Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, Dungeons and Dragons 5i, Dungeons and Dragons 5 improved, not 5th edition, but 5 improved, right? That's the 2024 core rule books, DMG, PHB, and MM, that they did not sell well. That he's saying that. He's saying these did not sell well. Okay? The next thing he's saying is that Hasbro wants to move to a digital space, right? Completely. And that they're going to, and it's the OSR's biggest boogeyman. They're going to stop printing the books, right? Now, what I want to talk to you about today is that both of these are outrageous lies. Right now, I don't think that Professor Dungeon Master is lying on purpose. He has an emotional reason for it, okay? But I do think what that video is filled with lies, in my humble opinion. And I hate to roll hard at Professor Dungeon Master because he's such a nice guy. He really is a genuine person, a very genuine, nice person. But the reality is I love Dungeons and Dragons more than I love Professor Dungeon Master, so we need to get into this. All right, so first of all, right from the beginning, he makes all these excuses on why, okay, all right, hey, you want to say that D&D 5i did not sell as good as 5e? Put up the numbers. Put up the numbers. Put up the numbers. They're not there. He doesn't have them. And at the beginning, we know he doesn't have them because at the end he says, I have a friend who works in this book area, and I have a friend who works in these magazines area, and I have a friend who works at blah, 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 and I have a friend who works at blah, 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 and I guarantee you they all hate D&D as just as me, and they're telling me the numbers are in. The numbers are nowhere. The numbers are not in. He's talking about facts. He's trying to say there's facts, and there aren't. We don't know the 5i or the 5e numbers. We don't, right? And so what he's doing is he's painting a frame. He's painting a frame, right? So he's saying, so if you look at a 10 by 10 painting, right, and it's a rainbow, right? You could say, hey everybody, this painting is blue, and then you just paint a frame around the blue square in the blue arch. That's what he's doing, right? And so what he did is he comes out and he says, hey everybody, Tasha's was at number 5 on the bestseller on the Amazon bestseller list. But look at this, the PHB and the DMG and the Monster Manual of 2024 core rulebooks, they're all much lower. They're all, they're in the top 100, but they're much lower. So you can see that that these aren't selling well. No, that's a bunch of outrageous, ridiculous bunk. It's a frame. It's a frame constructed to fool, right? The reality is, okay, in my humble opinion, and that's what this is. We're talking about opinions, and these are his opinions. But he's trying to present them as facts, okay? I tell you, I'm just a guy talking about Dungeons & Dragons. I will present the evidence to you, right? You decide what the reality is, okay? You make your own decision, right? I'm sharing my opinion. And I can tell you right now, from what I've seen, without a doubt, the D&D 5i, PHB, DMG, and Monster Manual is the biggest print run that has ever been done for any tabletop role-playing game in history. And I think it easily dwarfed the print run for 5e. Now, did they all sell? Get this, it doesn't matter. He wants to tell you that D&D is DOA because the books didn't fly off the shelves. You ridiculous fool. You ridiculous fool, right? The reason he thinks that that's a problem is that is a problem for the OSR and D&D. Their books can sit if their books sit on the shelves, their little jank, little ridiculous lemonade stands turn upside down overnight, right? They can't absorb books sitting on shelves for years. D&D can. They have 10 years to sell those books. They don't need to sell today, right? And the reality is they'll sit there and they'll sell when Stranger Things 5th season comes. Books will be flying off the shelves, right? And what's riled is they're like, oh, it's dead on arrival. Dead on arrival, you ridiculous fool. Are you kidding me? Right? Look what's happening with Dungeons & Dragons. New shows, old shows getting new seasons, right? Magic the Gathering, which is canon to Dungeons & Dragons, right? Getting new material. Lego D&D is a real theme now. Every single metric is up. And these are metrics, right, that are not, and see, the OSR and the D&D desperately don't want you to look at this. They don't want to say, and the reality is they're terrified, right? If Kelsey Dionne's book doesn't sell, she's cooked, right? But if D&D's books sit on the shelves for another year and a half, no problem. Millie Bobby Brown will sell every single one of them. Joseph Quinn, massive international superstar, Hollywood superstar, will sell every single one of them. Ain't no Hollywood stars coming to sell the OSR and indie crap that he is championing. They don't care, right? People carry the ball for D&D who don't even know they're carrying the ball for D&D. Joseph Quinn doesn't understand that Gladiator 2 will sell D&D books. Do you understand that? Right? Like, the OSR and the indie are losing, and this is the kicker. Oh, everybody, I can assure you 5i's not selling well because it's lower on the Amazon top 100. Oh, look at that evidence. Oh, they're in trouble. Dude, your OSR and indie crap doesn't even make it on the list ever. Not with its biggest releases. You will never find this OSR, and you can't even find them in FLGSs. You can't even find them in the dedicated stores that sell nothing but TTRPGs. I have a FLGS owned by a millionaire 5 miles from where I lived, okay? This is shocking, right? They have every single, deep cut, thing, deep cut. You cannot find Shadow Dark on the shelf. She cannot print it, right? We have to listen to Professor Dungeon Master squawk utter lies about the success of DND. And the part he's leaving out is that OSR and Indy aren't even in the arena. They cannot beat Dungeons and Dragons because they can't find the arena where the match is actually taking place, right? And so it does. I apologize for getting wound up. It galls me to no end to listen to these outrageous lies that 5i is not doing well when it is outselling all the OSR and all the indie material combined. And I know that because I go to every FLGS near me, and it's fully stocked, and people are looking at them, and they're coming off the shelves. Now, I can't give you the numbers because nobody has the numbers, right? Nobody has the numbers. And we keep pretending, and we keep making excuses. He doesn't have the numbers. He does not have the numbers. He does not have the numbers, and you could tell it by the beginning of the video. You can tell it by the beginning. I got this friend, and 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 they all hate D&D just like me. So let's pretend we can talk numbers. You cannot talk numbers. No one has the numbers. And I'm sick to death of places like Roll for Combat and Professor Dungeon Master coming and doing these outrageous lies with nothing but vapor, right? So I'm going to do what I do in every video, and I'm going to tell you the truth. Every single word you just heard is nothing but my humble opinion, right? I'm not taking a frame and pretending it's facts. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and a fetch millennium.